All right. What is going on? Happy Saturday. It is your boy, Tyler Gates, aka Tag Live 205. College football game day. Another one. It's another day. It's another Saturday to talk college football. I have so much stuff in store for you guys. We're gonna get right down into it. I'm not even gonna give you a rundown of the show. I'm just gonna go. I'm just gonna go from one to whatever I have. So if you have not already, go ahead and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. It will definitely be helpful. Once again, my name is Tyler Gates. I'm your analyst here on Millions.co. Thank you guys so much once again to Millions for allowing me to use their platform. And I am streaming this on Millions, YouTube, and Instagram Live. So if you guys ever want to come on the show, as I put out a PSA this morning, you guys are very more than welcome to come on the show, ask questions, be involved, play trivia games. Or if you're a super fan of a team, please come on and let me know. Just don't bash my Falcons too much. But if you haven't already, like I said, subscribe and follow. And we're going to get this right down to it. Now, the one thing I do have to say, don't be that team. I'm going to put out an Instagram post that says, don't be that team. And basically what that is going forward for college football is don't be that team that gets upset. Don't be that team that everybody just claims to win and then they go lose the game. Don't be a Georgia Tech from last week against North Carolina State. Don't be Alabama week 1 versus Florida State. Don't be that team, right? Don't be Miami versus SMU last week. That's basically what it is. Don't get upset. It's simple. It's how it goes. But the first game we're going to talk about is probably the biggest game in the Big Ten, other than Ohio State, Purdue, and it is Indiana versus Penn State. Now, what I want to say about this game right here is that when you look at what this game potentially means for both Indiana and Penn State, I'm breaking it down to you. The Big Ten momentum. I mean, we're talking about a broken crown here. The 9-0 Hoosiers, Penn State has fell off. They have a chance to kind of redeem themselves, not only in the Big Ten, but in college football, if they can knock off the undefeated Indiana Hoosiers, right? And we all know what the Nittany Lions are about, right? And I have their stat sheet right here. But we all know what they're about. And Drew Allen's out for the year, so that takes any chance of them winning for the ordinary fan who thinks that, okay, yes, that's true. Drew Allen is a huge, if not probably the biggest part on why Penn State is Penn State. But now that he's out for the year, now that James Franklin is gone, now that you have an interim head coach and pretty much an interim quarterback for the rest of the season, now you're looking at a 3-5 Penn State team who was 0-5 in conference play, coming off a 38-14 loss at Ohio State. Just saying. I think they could beat Indiana. I'm not saying Indiana is in trouble. What I'm saying is Ohio State is just levels above everybody else. It's Ohio State and everybody else at this current moment. Now, when they get in the playoffs, it's a totally different story. We saw what they did last year when they lost to Michigan. So if they somehow beat Michigan, I don't think they win a national championship. Just look at the pattern. Look at the pattern between Ohio State and Michigan. But I have a lot of questions here, especially with Indiana's offense. How can they slow down Penn State's defense? Well, for Indiana, you have to look at it as their defense is going to get tested today. No matter what people want to say, their defense is going to get tested. We want to see how the defense is going to look, so that way, when they go up against Ohio State in the Big Ten championship, which is most likely going to happen, they're not caught in this whirlwind of, oh my God, I don't know what to think. I want to see them play the best version of themselves defensively today. A better version than they played last week, a better version than they played against any other team that they have faced leading up to this point against Penn State. Because I feel like if Penn State didn't have this record, they would be the toughest team they faced so far. Let's be completely honest. Which leads me to my second question about them. Is it a trap game? Playing at Penn State is not a whiteout. Remember the last time they just had a whiteout game against Oregon? What happened there? So, Penn Penn State has nothing to lose at this moment. They have nothing to lose, which is the question here, which is it a trap game? And it's Penn State playing in Happy Valley. Does that mean that Penn State has nothing to lose? They have everything to gain from this. They have nothing to lose and everything to gain from this victory. I don't think this gets them into the college football playoffs, but it gets them momentum going into the next game and potentially next year in the Big Ten when they have to face Ohio State and they have to face Indiana again. And maybe Purdue gets better. Who knows, right? But what's the X factor in this game? Who is the X factor in this game? Special teams is a huge factor. We know special teams at Penn State don't get along. And what big play or big plays are going to cost either team the game today? That is what I'm looking for. The special teams and the big plays. Who is going to make that play? Who's going to step up from Penn State side and who is going to step up from Indiana side? I mean, we already know. Mendoza is going to do his part, right? Mendoza is going to throw for probably 200 yards, 250 yards, maybe even 300. We don't know what he's going to do, but the potential number 1 overall pick in Mendoza, we know what he's capable of. He's going to go out there. He's going to show why Indiana is in the position that they're in, but how is he going to manage that against a Penn State team that nobody expects to beat Indiana? And speaking of beating, I want to push this narrative too before I segue into my second one. I want to push this angle. Watch the Indiana rush yard. Watch their attack. They ran for approximately 367 yards against Maryland last week. 367 against Maryland last week. And Penn State's rush defense is among the worst in the conference. The stats are right here, which goes to show me this should be a cakewalk. But when we are talking about Big Ten matchups, the Big Ten is liable for upsets, way more liable than the SEC. So watch out for that. I do feel like Penn State will have to stop them some way, somehow, but I definitely feel like Indiana's rush game is going to be a big part in a potential victory for them today. I have not picked who's winning this game, nor the other games that I'm about to talk about, but I will at the end. Trust me. Segueing into this one, I want to talk about another showdown, but in the ACC. I want to talk about Miami and I want to talk about Syracuse. Now, we all know Miami came off a disappointing loss to SMU last week. How you guys lost that beats me. But it's all about how you recover. Just like life. You fall down, you get back up. It is all about how you recover from that instance. How are you going to be able to get back on your feet? How are you going to be able to see and utilize Malachi Tony and all the other weapons that you have on your team, Carson Beck? Syracuse, really, I'm going to be honest with you. Syracuse hasn't been anywhere towards good since Kyle McCord left. That's just me being nice. You know, that's me being nice. They're 6-2 right now on the playoff path, and it's slipping. Okay, Syracuse is 3-6, and they've lost 5 straight. But beating Miami last year, 42-38, that meant something to them. Obviously, coming back in that game, that meant something, right? Are the Canes leaning into a reset or still reeling? They're not reeling. I honestly don't even think it's much of a reset. This is just it's picking up the broken pieces. It's picking up the broken pieces. That's what you would call this. Pick up the broken pieces from what you lost against SMU, utilize those, correct those mistakes, and redeem yourself to the rest of the college football world and to the committee. This is a redemption game for Miami. For Syracuse, this is a momentum gainer. This is the test for them to go against Miami, who, in my opinion, should they be in the college football playoffs? Absolutely, because I want to see them get tested. Yes, they have an easy schedule where they face all Florida teams. We get that. But I want to see them get tested. I truly do. And I want to see if they're going to win that test. Obviously, Georgia Tech is probably the toughest team they're going to face because they killed Florida State. So I want to see how they're going to get tested. Right? Which leads me to a couple questions for this game. What is the tone in the Miami locker room after that SMU loss? It better be somewhere towards we're going to spank them. It better be somewhere towards a 20-point blowout today. It better be We're going to redeem ourselves. And we're going to show the college football world and the committee that was no fluke. That's what the tone better be, Mario Cristobal. That's what the tone better be, right? And even into my next question. Against Syracuse, what line of attack must Miami pick up to avoid their other trap game? Right? They cannot have another game like this, like they did against SMU. Because if they do, no college football playoff for them. I'm just being honest. That's what the committee has. For Syracuse, what is the hope? Can they play spoiler again despite their skid? It's possible. But we're talking about the U in the U. They barely lose in Miami. They barely lose, right? Turnovers are going to be in effect on both teams today. So don't think that's not going to happen. There's going to be some turnovers, especially by Carson Beck. Trust me, I'm a Georgia fan, I know. And I love Carson Beck. But there's going to be some early turnovers, okay? Carson Beck is the second half quarterback. If you're a Georgia fan, you know that. The angle I want to push up on this game is Miami's quarterback, which is Carson Beck. They need to show up. Because what the world was that against SMU? What was that? Honestly. Hello. And not to get off topic or anything, but I'm really just concerned about Mario Cristobal's position in Miami. I think he gets fired. There's no way Billy Napier gets fired, but you don't get fired. Anyway, Syracuse offense is brittle, right? Which presents a chance, but if Miami shows up, they have no chance. They have no chance. All right, the third game. This is the game that might get a lot of backlash. I do feel like Purdue is going to give them a run for their money, but I feel like Ohio State just has that oomph to say, you know what? This shouldn't even be close, right? Ohio State, Purdue, 1 p.m. Is this a rivalry renewed? Is it? Because if you're a real college football fan like myself, then you remember in the days of JT Barrett, in the days of Dwayne Haskins, rest in peace, in the days of a Cardell Jones, Ohio State Purdue used to be the biggest game in the Big Ten. Yes, Ohio State Michigan obviously it's the best rivalry in football, probably in college football. But back in the day, like a couple years back, like 2015, 2016, yeah, in that era, Ohio State Purdue used to be the game to watch. And now it's just like a wash game for Ohio State. It's like tryouts. I need Purdue to get some of that umph back. They're unbeaten. They're dominant. You can't stop them. Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Julian Sayin. I can go down the list. One of the best offensive lines in college football. The best defensive player probably in college football in Caleb Downs. I mean, what else do you want from him? Right? What else do you expect? Rather. I'm going to say this. Ohio State is winning this game, but Purdue can give them a run for their money. Now, I want to move a little bit quicker here because we are a little bit behind here. Georgia, Mississippi. I mean, if you know me, this is not a game, okay? I should be able to relax. The real Bulldog pride is us. I should be able to kick back, relax, and enjoy this game today. Go Dogs, the real Dogs. This should be a 20-point blowout, okay? This should be a 24. No close game today, Gunnar Stockton. No close game today. This should be a blowout. This should be a blowout. No excuse. No excuse. And speaking of good games, speaking of pride, I will tell you this. If LSU, and yes, I have both LSU Tigers because I have them winning this game. If LSU does not beat Alabama they got to beat them. If they want any chance, they have to beat Alabama today. They have to. For our sake, too. For Georgia's sake. Help us out. Help us out. You got to beat these boys. Right? LSU, Alabama, one of the best rivalries in football. The first Saturday in November, we understand that. But when we are talking about one of the best quarterbacks to ever come out the draft in the last 5 years, Garrett Nussmeier's up there. Yes, he's having a disappointing season, but in terms of a prospect status, he's up there. Todd Sifton, he's up there. So I want people to look at this game and say, you know what? Let's pay more attention to this game because I feel like this is going to be a game that most people are going to look at for a draft purpose. Yes, I have LSU winning this game. Alabama, we all know me and them, right? We all know. So, to conclude, quick hitters. Georgia's going to beat Mississippi State. Miami's going to beat Syracuse. I have Indiana beating Penn State. I want to have Penn State so bad. And we pretty much all know Ohio State's going to beat everybody in their path. And yes, LSU, once again, is beating Bama today. So, thank you guys for joining the show. I know it was very short, but we have a lot to get down on today. I will be uploading some things on my Instagram as well right after this stream. So definitely come back and look to see on my social medias what I have. College Game Day is about to come on right now. So enjoy yourselves. ESPN College Game Day with Pat McAfee and the boys. Stay tuned. I am your host, Tyler A. Gates. Subscribe, follow, and like. Yes, it's your guy. Live on Millions. Let's have a good college football weekend. I'm out.